So my name is Drew Pearlman, and I'm the host of the Drew Pearlman Show. And I am super excited about this workshop, 360 Thrive, that we're going to be bringing to you through release, and really excited about that. My own personal wellness journey has influenced this program really by not feeling good. I spent many years physically where I didn't feel good, mentally, emotionally, was just a struggle. And I've sort of been on a quest really my whole life to learn different kind of healing tools and healing skills that have really helped me. And I've always had a passion from learning these tools to want to share them with other people. And whether it was through a film or whether it's through a book, whether it's through the podcast that I do, and now with this workshop, it's really just a passion to learn new skills and tools and to heal them and to share them with other people. And that's what this program is all about. It's taking the best of what I've learned through my life and really putting it together into a program that we can share with others over a period of time and really take everybody on a healing journey. You know, I've always said that in my mind, the best healers, the best doctors, the best practitioners are the ones who have suffered the most. Because I've always believed that from desperation comes inspiration. So I want to work with someone who's been desperate to heal themselves, maybe to heal a loved one. Those are the people I have found that I've interviewed over the years, that I've talked with, that I've studied. Those are the people that can basically perform miracles because they've been desperate. They're not like a cold, analytical person behind a desk who has no experience at healing. So I actually want to work with the people that have suffered the most, because that's where the inspiration comes from. So in my own life, a lot of suffering is what has helped me to really create this program that that we can tailor toward people to really taking them on a healing journey. This program is going to take people on a wonderful healing journey. We're going to start with mindset and beliefs, sort of as the core. And then from mindset and beliefs, we're going to move on to breath work, and then we're going to go into food, and then we're going to go into moving in nature. We're going to do some self-healing work at release here, some self-care practices. We're going to learn all about self-care. We're going to do a cold plunge. We're going to talk about purpose. We're going to talk play. We're going to go on we're going to do all kind of great things. And what I like to say is that the program is a spectrum of influences because there's never just one thing. Oftentimes in the health media, things get very simplified. Things get oversimplified. And you'll hear, all you need to do is eat healthy diet and you'll be healthy. But I haven't found that to be the case. I think there's a spectrum, there's a variety of things you need to do to be fully healthy. And that's what this program is all about. For instance, once upon a time, I thought all you needed to do, eat healthy, live a healthy life. And then after that, I realized that wasn't the case. And then later on, I thought, well, breath work. If you learn how to optimize your breathing, you'll be healthy. Well, I found that wasn't the case. And then I thought it was mindset and movement. And the reality is it's a whole bunch. It's a variety of practices that can really make the biggest difference. And I do believe that oftentimes in health, it gets very simple. It gets oversimplified. And we hear, just eat a healthy diet. That's all you need to do. And I just want to give an example here. This is sort of a roundabout example a little bit, but an example for this is there's a famous chef in France, Alain Pissard, world famous. I think his restaurant is in Paris, and you go see him, and it's just one of the best restaurants in the world. And he said there are 25 ways to cut a shallot. 25 ways to cut a shallot. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, there's 25 ways to do anything. There's probably 1,025 ways to do any activity. So I could eat a so-called healthy salad 1,000 different ways. I could eat it in a very stressed state where I'm surrounded by people that I can't stand. Well, if I do that, how much health am I going to get from that so-called healthy salad? But imagine if I eat that same salad and I'm outside and the sun is beaming down on me, and with every bite I'm so grateful, I'm expressing gratitude for every single bite. Well, how much health am I now going to get from that same salad? So oftentimes we want to oversimplify and say it's just the food, it's just the breath, it's just this. But again, it's more nuanced than that. It's more complicated than that. And we need to understand, mindset. I want to eat a salad topped with a heaping tablespoon of gratitude. I mean, I don't want a salad that's going to be topped with a tablespoon of resentment and anger. Again, how much nutrition am I going to get? So all of these factors, I know this is kind of a roundabout way of explaining this, but so many different factors play into health. And that's what this program is all about, trying to bring the different aspects of health into one program. My mantra for great health, well, I'm going to give you two mantras that I have. So my first mantra for great health is balance is everything. So anybody that I've ever worked with, I think I've always said this to them, balance is everything. So, and where do we learn balance? We learn balance from looking at nature, from studying nature. And if you think about it, when you look at nature, nature is not always blue skies and rainbows. There can be violent storms, hurricanes, tornadoes, violent storms. And it's all about balance. Like, there is conflict in nature. And that's okay. There's conflict in life, there's conflict in nature, there's conflict everywhere. But again, it all goes back to balance. So what I often say to people, some people will sometimes say to me, stress is bad and relaxation is good. And that's true, but not all the time. We don't want to be relaxed every single minute of the day necessarily, and we don't want to be stressed all day long. It really comes back to balance. I mean, if you have to give an important talk, if you have to run from a predator, you want stress hormones pulsing through your body. If you have to have an important conversation with someone, you may want to get amped up a little bit. So you want to have some stress hormones. And you also want to know how to relax. So again, it comes back to balance. It's not to say that we should be relaxed all day long. It's not to say we should be stressed all day long. Balance is really everything when you talk about nature and when you talk about humans, because after all, we are nature. Humans are nature as well as everything else. So the second mantra that I have for health is that your problems are not really your problems. And I like to tell this to people, and this is going to be a big theme in the first session that we have, is your problems are not your problems. And what I mean by that is oftentimes, very often, we point the finger to something outside of ourselves. It is very easy to say, my problem is my boss, my problem is my partner, my problem is my child, my problem is my neighbor, but there's a theme here. The problem is always outside of us. But when you go back to ancient wisdom, when you go back to Stoicism, what they usually do is point the mirror back to yourself, and you say, well, you're the common thread here, is that very often it's not so much what's going on outside of ourselves, it's how we perceive what's going on outside of ourselves. So how we see things around us. For instance, there are inner stressors as well as outer stressors. Most people, when I say your problems are not your problems, it's very easy to see all our problems as outer stressors. And in fact, when we do this workshop, one of the sessions, we're going to do a cold plunge. We're going to plunge into a cold lake. And for everybody, that cold is going to look like their problem. And you're going to say, that lake is way too cold. I'm not going in the lake is freezing. But the lake isn't really the problem. Because you can regulate your breathing, you can look at the lake in a different way, you can control your mindset, and you can look at the lake, the so-called problem, in a different way. So it all goes back to being able to regulate ourselves. And that's what Stoicism, that's what ancient wisdom teaches us, is that our problems really aren't our problems. It's really about controlling ourselves and how we see our problems. And I like to give the example, when I say my second healthy mantra is your problems aren't your problems, I like to give the example of, imagine that life comes along and grabs you by the wrist. Okay, grabs you with a really tight wrist, and life has the grip of like a bodybuilder. So it grabs you by that wrist, and your wrist is, you can't move. Because what happens when someone grabs our wrist? Our instinct is to pull away. It's to pull away, and if it's a bodybuilder, we're not going to be able to pull away. We're stuck there. So then maybe we go to phase 2, which is we break down in tears, we get all upset, we're worried, what's gonna happen to me? What is life gonna do to me? In this case, this bodybuilder, what's gonna happen to me? And we're stuck. But the problem is, the reason we're stuck when life grabs us by the wrist, this bodybuilder, is that we're focused on someone grabbing our wrist. Because I can't move my wrist if a bodybuilder has me. I can't do anything, but I can move me. I can still move my body. I can't move my wrist, maybe I can't move my arm, but I can move my body. So imagine if instead of trying to fight and move my wrist and move my arm, I step in a little bit. Because I can still step in. I can step in towards this person, life that has my wrist. And I can maybe turn a little bit. I can step my foot back and I can look in the same direction that life is looking at. And suddenly when I do that, when I turn and I step in, I recognize that, wow, all of a sudden I realize that life doesn't have me by the grip. I feel a little bit of slackness, a little bit of weakness, maybe around the thumb, because I've now turned and I've moved in a little bit and I sense there's a little bit of weakness around the thumb, and guess what? I can release myself, I can free myself. But I never could have done that if I just focused on the bodybuilder who grabbed my wrist. I needed to move myself, I needed to move what I was looking at, I needed to see things in a different way, and I realized that I could free myself. So this is a big theme that we talk about in the program, is just, again, balance is everything and your problems aren't your problems. So, what I really want people to take away from this workshop is a feeling of empowerment. I want people to feel empowered, that they really have control over their health, their physical health, their mental health, their emotional health, their spiritual health. And it comes from learning these healing tools that we're going to go through in this workshop. So I want people to feel very empowered. I want people to walk away with a greater sense of health and vitality, and maybe a greater sense of groundedness and aliveness. So all of these wonderful qualities, but I would say the overwhelming feeling that I really want people to take away is a greater sense of empowerment, because I feel most people right now in this time of history feel very disempowered. They feel that their health is beyond their control. It's a victim to some germs that are floating around. It's related to their doctor or to their practitioner. Well, I have found that that is absolutely not the case, that there are so many things you can do that your healthcare practitioners have no clue about. They have no clue about that you could do these things. But we need to really become invested in our health. And this program is very much about giving people concepts, tools, and practices that you take home with you. So it's not as though everything you do happens in the workshop. You're going to be taking stuff home that you're going to be doing at home. So it's very important to understand that people need to feel empowered. And that's really what I want this program to be about. The question is, who can really benefit from this program? Well, I think anybody with a pulse can benefit from this program, to be honest. I think anybody and everybody can benefit from this program, but I will tell you this. I do think certain people are going to do even better in this program, and that's people who are open-minded, willing to experiment a little bit on themselves, see themselves as an experiment, and to also be willing to do some work. There is a great quote from the Roman philosopher Marcus Aurelius where he says, "Get active in your own rescue." I'm going to say that again. Get active in your own rescue. And I say this to people all the time. There is no rescue boat coming to save you and your health. And if you think the rescue boat, your doctor or your practitioner or whoever, some coach, the boat is not coming. So you need to get active in your own rescue. And that's what Marcus Aurelius is saying way back in ancient times. And we need to do that. What that really means is we need to do the practices and take the steps to take care of ourselves. And that's what this program is all about, teaching people how to take care of themselves. Louise Hay, who is the famous author and spiritual teacher, once said that whether someone comes to me with poor health, poor wealth, poor relationships, whatever the poverty is, she says, I only work on one thing with them, and that is loving themselves. That's the only thing we do. We work on loving themselves. That's it. That's the work. And what it is, that's what this program is all about. And that's why this program, I think, can benefit everybody. And I think everybody needs to sign up because this is a program that can truly benefit you. And what I would say about that is, ultimately, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be becoming experts. You're going to become an expert on you. You're going to become an expert on you. You're going to do practices that take care of yourself, that really look to love yourself and take care of yourself, and you're going to do the inner work. The German poet Rilke once said, the only journey is the inner journey. There's nothing else. The only journey is the inner journey. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to go on an inner journey. But here's the thing. If you go on that inner journey, if you take care of yourself, if you love yourself and you heal yourself, you're going to notice that the outer journey gets better too. That everything in your life starts to improve. Because you might say, well, Drew, this is my issue. My issue is my finances, or my issue is this. And do I really want to go on an inner journey? But what I'm here to tell you is that if you work on the inner journey, if you become an expert on yourself, if you go that road, everything gets better. And in fact, you have no control over everything in your life. I'm sorry to break it to you, but you don't have really any control over just about anybody or anything. The only one you can control is yourself. So you may as well do the work on yourself. And if you do that, if you invest the time and do that in a workshop like this, you may find, I can't guarantee it, but you may find that everything in your life starts to get better as well. So I hope you sign up, and I hope to see everybody very soon.